Hello and welcome to Geometry. I'm Mr. Larimer, and this year we are going to be solving a lot of geometric problems that involve algebra. And so what we've done here is create a Algebra 1 review sheet, something that gives us examples of how to do various algebraic equations that are going to show up again and again in geometry problems. This first one, number one, is a straightforward linear equation. It has a variable on one side, and what we want to do is just get x alone. We want to get x by itself away from all the other numbers, and that'll be the solution to our equation. The first thing that you should always do whenever you are given an equation is to combine like terms that are on the same side of the equal sign. So we are going to look at this equation and look for any numbers or letters that are the same. In this case, a positive 3 and a negative 5 are like terms and they can be combined. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Of course, there are other things on this side of the equal sign like the 4x, and on the other side of the equal sign like the 18. And this has given me a simpler equation that I would need to solve. Now that x's are combined together and the numbers are combined together, what we can do is get rid of those numbers. We want to get the x alone. So we want to add or subtract the numbers that are the same on both sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to look at this and identify a number that needs to go away, which is this negative 2. So I'm going to go ahead and say, how do I get rid of it? And just add it to both sides. Negative 2 plus 2 is, well, 0. Leaves me nothing but a 4x on that side of the equal sign. 18 plus 2 is 20. Now that we have added 2, we are almost done. We have to get the x alone, and this 4 is standing in the way of having x by itself. We have to ask, what is that 4 doing to the x? And that 4 is being multiplied by the x, 4 times x. And so in order to undo that operation, we will need to do the opposite of times, which is to divide. So we will divide both sides by 4. Now 4 divided by 4 is not 0. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And that'll leave me with, well, 1x, an x that is by itself. 20 divided by 4 is then a 5. And this is the solution to our equation. If you ever want to check an answer to an equation, you can just plug it back in and verify that the left and the right side of the equation match. So we will take that 5 and we will take it and plug it back into the original equation where the x is. 4 times 5 plus 3 minus 5. And we want to see if that is 18. And if it is 18, then that is the solution. Now 4 times 5 is 20. 20 plus 3 is 23. Minus 5 is indeed 18. So yes, 5 is the solution to this equation. Now that is a simple equation with a variable on one side, but it is very common, like in number 6, that we can have variables on both sides of the equation. 2x plus 3 equals 4x minus 5. So the first thing that we want to do is to combine the like terms if necessary. There's not always like terms. In this case, well, I have x's and numbers on the left, and I have x's and numbers on the right, but I don't have anything that can be combined on one side. Do not try to combine across an equal sign. There's like an imaginary wall in between these things. So, well, there are no like terms to combine. We can go ahead and start to try to get our x's on the same side. We kind of want to put the x's together on one side of the equation and the numbers on the other, and it does not matter which one is which. So we'll either add or we will subtract the x's, the variables, from both sides. I like to pick on the little guy, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this 2x. That is a positive 2x, so I'll go ahead and subtract it. Minus 2x from both sides of the equal sign. 2x minus 2x is 0, leaving me nothing but a 3 on that side. 4x minus 2x will get me 2x, and then a minus 5. Now this equation is exactly the same as the type of equation that we just solved. We need to get x alone, so we are going to solve it just like we did. We will start by getting rid of this number. Now that number says minus 5, so I will go ahead and add 5 to both sides to get rid of it. Well, 5 minus 5 is 0, and 3 plus 5 is 8, equals 2x. And then the last but not least step is to get rid of that number in front of the x. That is multiplication, so we'll have to divide to get rid of it. The 2's will cancel on the right, leaving me x is equal to 4. And this is the solution. You could plug it back in to check if you wish. I'm not going to take the time to do that right now. Now there's one other type of equation that tends to crop up in geometry a lot, which is this big fraction equation. This one's kind of a complicated looking one. This one tends to cause students to freak out very regularly because there is such a large fraction and they don't know what to do with it. So step one of this type of problem is simply don't freak out. It's going to be okay. I know you don't like fractions, so what we are going to do is we are going to get rid of the fraction part of that. We want to get rid of the 3 that is on the bottom. Now, we have to know what that 3 is really talking about. That says a big bunch of stuff on the top divided by 3. So in order to undo the division by 3, we will multiply both sides by that denominator. Now, I'll be multiplying the left of the equation by 3 and the right of the equation by 3. But it is important to note that this only cancels out the denominator on the left-hand side. 3 over 3 is 1, and it makes that go away. It does not affect the numerator of that equation. 3x minus 3 minus 5x is all that is left on the left-hand side of this equation. It did not get changed. The right side, however, is different. There is no denominator on the right side. So we do actually have to multiply this 3 out, and we'll use the distributive property to do this multiplication. 3 times 2x is 6x, and 3 times 3 is 9. Now this is an equation with variables on both sides, and we can do it exactly like what we did in the previous section. First step would be to combine the like terms together, 3x and 5x. But that's not a 5x, it's a negative 5x. 3x minus 5x is negative 2x minus 3 is equal to 6x plus 9. Now this is an equation just like the one in the previous example, number 6. We will have to pick something to get rid of. It does not matter what we start with, but I always like to start with the smallest variable. So I'll be getting rid of this negative 2x by adding 2x to both sides. Negative 2x plus 2x is 0. 6x plus 2x is 8x. Of course, we have to bring everything else down. We can't just forget that it was there in the first place. So negative 3 and 9 come down. Now, it does matter what happens next. We want to get the x alone, so I'm going to try to get rid of this number. It says plus 9, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 9 from both sides. That'll get me negative 12 is equal to 8x. And last but not least, getting rid of the number in front of the x, we'll divide both sides by 8. Dividing by 8 is, well, kind of a problem, because 8 doesn't go into 12 evenly. And we're going to have to know how to take care of that. It is totally fine to have decimal answers. It is also totally fine to have fraction answers. In fact, I prefer the fraction answer. So 12 divided by 8, yeah, it is 1.5, negative 1.5. But I'm going to write this as a fraction. So x is equal to, well, negative 12 eighths. Now this is a good answer, but it's not the best because it's not a reduced answer. You have to ask yourself what goes into 12 and what goes into 8. And the biggest number that goes into both 12 and 8 is 4. So we can divide the top and the bottom of the fraction by 4, and that'll reduce the fraction to a more simple number. So x will be equal to 12 divided by 4 is negative 3 over 8 divided by 4 is 2. And this is my answer in fraction form. I prefer to leave it as an improper fraction rather than a mixed number. I find that they are easier to deal with. Now these are the 3 most common types of equations that show up in geometry. Being familiar with all of them is very important. And if you do not understand these 3 equations or have questions, please come ask me and I will be more than happy to help you.